Hello, Targar friends. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again, it is time for another Orc Mode workout. Today was a max effort lower day. Quick reminder for those of you who watch these videos, please click like down below. It would be greatly appreciated. I started this off just to show you guys kind of what my normal depth looks like from the side when using the exact stance width I'm doing here. Actually, I had someone comment and say, oh, he did a plate per side. Actually, that wasn't a plate. That was 2 plates per side. Not that that really matters. But I also get people who are like, well, why don't you go set a second camera? Look, guys, I am not trying to, when I'm going to hit a heavy lift and trying to focus on getting in my zone for the lift, trying to get 2 cameras running. Sorry, I'm just not interested in doing that. I don't care. But I did show you guys, and that's even for my own records, that I can kind of put in the clip of with the stance that I chose to use today of about what my depth is. And we can argue all day long about which feds will pass it, which ones won't. Right now, I don't really care. This bar is a different bar anyways. We'll worry about that more when I get back over to the straight bar. In the meantime, I have to just keep getting stronger. And we have to get all around strong. I need to get stronger at every one of these bars. I need to get stronger at every one of these bars against bands and chains. Keep base building. And I will have to work a little bit on things like my hips. And that's one of the things that I do notice. As I'm getting a little bit older, up into my 40s, at 44, my hips and shoulders just do not move the way that they used to. They just don't. And so I have to be very, very mindful of stuff like foot position. You know, someone said, hey, I noticed your toes are a lot more forward. It's just more comfortable on my hips. Now, that was hard. You guys can see the hip shift. You can see everything there. That 521 with that bar was hard. Now, people say, well, what does that translate to on a straight bar? Who knows? I have clients right now who have 150 pounds difference between their straight bar and their safety bar. And I'm not talking about weak lifters either. I'm talking about people who are in the elite for their body weight at this point. I have at least one who there's literally 150 pounds difference. But we know that I squat a lot more than that with the Buffalo bar. I did 542 plus quite a bit of chains this week. Now, one of the things that I want to note here is that my lower traps, I had to stop at 381 on the Good Morning. I didn't even put this one up into its own video because I was going to try to go for another jump after this because I did 401 on this last time real clean, and I was going to jump another 10 pounds. My lower traps, particularly the right side, they cramped on that rep. They cramped hard and they're sore. They are really sore right now. And I was worried I wasn't going to be able to finish my workout. It's not an injury. It's just that the muscle is overworked. And you know what? I felt that same muscle when I did the Buffalo bar squat against the heavy chains. I felt that same part of my middle back really, really ultra fatigued and almost painful afterwards. So it's just an area that needs more work. And it really is the whole lower trap, right? Because I feel it right there along the spine. It's the lower trap. Maybe some of the erectors there, but I feel like it's the trap more than anything. And you know, some people will say, but that area is reasonably big on you. It is. Is it reasonably big relative to the weights I'm moving? That's what we always have to put in perspective. So at least I got the squat PR, but I had to chill on the Good Mornings, and I realized I wasn't going to be able to do Good Mornings today. So I had to substitute some other stuff in the workout. But that squat was a max. That 521 today, it was a small PR. It was a max. And I'm over here talking about getting that bar to 600 this year. You know, and I feel like it's not unreasonable to assume, you know, 50 pounds gap. Because that's pretty close to what I saw in the past messing with the bars. So if I want to get to a 650 squat this year, which is the goal, I need the safety bar up to 600. I really do. Now, people say, what about the 700? Oh, that's my long-term. All my vlogs are long-term documents. I've been doing this for years and years. 700 is the eventual goal. I'd like to see, and I don't like to set hard goals anymore. I think it's a bad idea, and I hate it when clients say, hey, how long will it take me to reach this lift? However long it takes you. And when you start getting focused on the outcome instead of the process, you will derail yourself. You set a goal, and then you implement a process to reach that goal. And you follow that process and adjust that process. You don't stand there and fixate on the goal anymore. You already did that when you created the process. So happy with that PR though, but it was tough. Like I saw stars in front of my eyes. And you guys saw a little hip shift. You saw me grinding. It was hard. Now I calculated off of that and added the additional weight for these. I did my 3x20, and honestly they went better than I expected. And I focus a little more on sitting back, just a hair more on these, because I know that'll help me get a little more depth. That's the thing that we have to watch a lot of times with squat depth, particularly depending upon your stance and your mobility and everything. Sometimes when you try to sit straight down, it actually interferes with breaking depth. Okay, unless you just have the mobility and build for that. So I'm trying to sit back more on all this rep work so that I can get kind of as deep as possible. And I focused more on that as I went. And I started trying to drive the knees out. That's the other thing too. Letting those knees come in too much at the bottom can interfere. So I tried to, as I got further into the sets, drive those knees out. So I need to practice getting deeper and deeper even on this rep work. Within my ability to do so, without beating my hips up though. Because again, with a lot of other things, we only have so much range of motion. Like as you guys watched when I did that, the reason I paused with that, I guess it's 241 on the bar for that opening side view. The reason I paused is to show that I'm not holding back. I'm not stopping myself from going deeper. Right? Just we're seeing what my actual depth potential is with this just outside, slightly outside of shoulder width, and that's where my hips go. But I could focus on sitting back a hair more. That is something I need to work on just to start getting a hair deeper. Now, I think that particular depth will pass at most feds, but again, this bar is harder to mess with anyways. This bar is goofy in its own way. So we'll assess it and try to get an inch deeper when I go to other bars. So I skipped the good mornings though. And honestly, the 20 rep squats today weren't bad. Now, I was definitely needing air on that third set. But my quads were lit. Quads were lit, but I'm getting used to it. I'm getting better at it. I'm happy about that fact. So we're getting used to it. And I think particularly, I think it's going to be really useful with this bar. I think the safety bar, I'm really going to get a lot out of it because it hammers my quads super hard. And my posterior chain and stuff can be worked with other movements. So I'm not worried about losing a little bit of posterior chain activation. But then we get a lot of that middle back and stuff with that bar, which, again, I feel like is a bit of a weak link for me. The more I look at it, I don't think my upper back is limiting me on squats anymore. Now, I'm going to do a lot of upper back work because it's limiting me on other lifts. And more upper back will let me set the bar further back. Okay, you get a better bar path when you have a really thick upper back. That means traps, rear delts, all that. Rhomboids, when that area gets super thick. But I feel like with a lot of the squatting, as far as if I have to look at where my back is potentially limiting my squats, it's that whole middle back area. And it's mid traps, lower traps. I need more meat there. I need more stability there. Because it is limiting my squats to potentially to some extent. So we need to keep working on that area. And that good morning tells me a lot. I mean, that safety bar is just a different beast. I'm so much stronger on the cambered bar. But that safety bar really, really hits me where it hurts. I mean, to the point to where painful cramping from what should have only been about 90% of my max. Right? My max should have been about 10% higher. That's all I could take, and I think it's because that area got so pre-fatigued by getting a good solid PR, but that PR pulled me forward, right? It worked my back super hard, the whole upper half of it, and I struggled to follow through there. I almost missed that lift. Like I felt like if I hadn't really flexed and contracted my middle and upper back, I might have missed that 521. My quads were fine. But on the rep work, my quads get so lit. And I think we're going to see some solid quad growth there. And again, all the good mornings and the reverse hypers and stuff handle the posterior chain. And even a lot of the rowing will handle the posterior chain for the deadlift in. So these today with the axle bar, I got 20 reps. And I stuck it out all the way through. I'm like, okay, third time doing these now, we're going to see it come up. We got 20. Now, I may micro-load it a little bit from here. Might start putting the fractional plates on and trying to keep getting these 5x20s. And I don't mind 20s on the lower body day. I'm doing 10s on the upper body day on the underhand grip. I feel like the 20s are fine here. Again, all that grip training, it's working my grip for a long, long time. And it feels so good on my shoulders. Like today, at the end of today's workout, all this stuff, my shoulders feel really good, and I'm happy about that. And I have to remember to be very careful about what I add in and not say, well, now that my shoulders feel good, let's do a bunch of overhead pressing. Probably bring my bench up. You know, we've got to be mindful of that. Will I eventually work overhead pressing back in? I would love to. Would I eventually like to mess with some of the Olympic lifts? I'd love to. I don't know if my shoulders are healthy enough for that. Now, these feel good on my shoulders. So I decided, since I couldn't really do rows today, let's do some upper back work. Get some shoulder work, upper back, all these things. So let's go ahead and work with the snatch grip hang pulls again. And I just went up 10 pounds over what I did yesterday for the upper day. And I'm going to work these back up slow. It's going to take me just a little bit to get back where I was on them. And again, now that I'm able to do them again. And I think realistically, I'll get back to where I was. So I'd like to get back up to 225 for sets of 10. And I think at that point, my shoulders will probably be reasonably jacked the way everything is going. Build some good shoulder development. And it carries over to a lot of my lifts. Again, it's a nice explosive lift because we're using some leg drive. And there is definitely some quad involvement. It'll help me with my squatting to a very small extent. But again, it'll bring up that whole upper back. Brings up the upper back. Which again, my bench and my deadlift could both benefit from. And I just need the extra stability on my benching because I've got to get my bench back up. And we've got to continue to rebuild the shoulders so that we can get the bench back to where it was. And then further, you know, it's kind of funny. I actually had a clown come in my benching from yesterday talking about how weak I am or this person's stronger than me. And it's like, they're not stronger than me. They outbench me. And I'm not going to get into who, but it's like I would destroy them right now. If we were to force us to both go to a full powerlifting meet, I would beat them on total. I would beat them on Wilks. Okay, let's get serious. Just because my bench has regressed a bit again, and because I've dealt with some shoulder issues, and even though that person might outbench me, they're not stronger. Ludicrous. But it goes to show you how much some of these kids value purely upper body lifts, you know. And I'm definitely not built to bench. I'm going to get my bench up. I'm going to do it. We're going to be consistent. We have a lot of muscle we have to put on in the right places, and I'm going to get there. But it's going to take a lot of work. It is. It's just going to take time, and it's going to take work. And I'm going to have to stay injury-free and be very careful with my shoulders, which I'm doing. And again, the lift I did there, that is actually quite easy on my shoulders. It actually feels good. It feels almost therapeutic on my shoulders, which is good that we're at that point with it. So then we finished off with the reverse hypers. 5 sets of 20 with 450. And again, I was pretty fatigued by the time I got to these. I almost felt like not doing them. I felt lazy. I was kind of tired today. Just one of those days, you know, especially when you have one muscle that's feeling really fatigued, like my whole lower and middle traps. And you know, the end of the training week, I get 2 days off this weekend, just conditioning and abs. And I want people to know that too. They're always like, well, you're not showing all your training. You want to watch me do cardio? No, I don't think so. You want to watch me train my abs? We don't need my off days put up here. This really is the bulk of my training. I do a little bit of grip work, a little bit of neck extensions just to help me with the safety bar. I do abs and I do cardio. Okay. It's not my real training. All this is the real training. So we document all of it. But on another side tangent, and I guess I need to remind people because they keep forgetting. I have a pretty strict policy, and it's mainly because this is for me to vlog. This is for me to document what I'm doing. This isn't here for people to criticize. If you're an elite lifter or an elite coach, and you want to chime in, by all means, I will always respect that. I will always respect that. But we better see, I better be seeing some 600 and 700 pound squats on your channel and some 400 plus pound benches. And here's why. You're being disrespectful to people who put in the work that you haven't put in. Okay? I would never, ever have the audacity to go to someone's page who's stronger than me and to criticize their lifts or what they're doing. Okay? I want to make that very, very clear. I would never have the audacity to do that. I don't do that. And if you think I did that, I can assure you it was a troll pretending to be me. I don't do that. Okay? Because I don't show that level of disrespect. And because I treat people with that level of respect that I would never do that, I absolutely demand and require the same level of respect being returned to me that I give to other people. Okay? I demand it. It's not optional. So if you don't have any elite lifts and I'm basically stronger than you, or you don't coach several lifters, at least, because maybe some people just can't lift, and people have injuries, people get hurt, they have problems. I get that. But if you're coaching a bunch of people who are super strong, then okay, that's fine. Then you've earned a say also. You paid some dues. But if you haven't paid the dues, you don't get to criticize, particularly on their own web pages and their own websites and channels and walls. You don't get to criticize people who are better than you. That's ridiculous. I would never do that. I don't do that to other people. And I demand and require that you do not do that to me. If you're stronger than me on 2 or 3 lifts, by all means, chime in, guys. That's fine. I'm going to take you seriously because you've paid your dues. You've earned that respect. But when you squat 400 pounds, if you squat 400 pounds, you need to focus on yourself and not be critical of people who are doing a hell of a lot better than you, who've put in more work and paid more dues. Okay? You need to focus on yourself and get your weak ass squat up. Alright guys, well that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.